Hey guys, I welcome by phone Christian music recording artist Rebecca St. James, who is one of the artists in the Greatest Hits live tour. This tour features some of Christian music's most beloved artists of all time. I'm talking Avalon, Point of Grace, Nicole C. Mullen, New Song, Rebecca, and others. Rebecca, welcome to the 1230 Media community. So great to chat with you today.
Thanks so much, Carl. Thanks for having me.
Or should I say good day?
Yes, you should say good day. That's perfect. Although my accent's pretty faded. I've been here a long time.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a mix.
Yeah, you are. Okay, so a lot of us in church world kind of grew up with you and your music, and in recent years, you've kind of stepped away from the music scene a little bit to start a family and write some books, act some.
That's right.
So catch us up. I haven't chatted with you in probably since my days in radio, probably 10 years ago. So catch us up. I'm behind on the life of Rebecca St. James. Why don't you catch us up a little bit?
Well, that's completely okay. I stepped back off the road. Probably 8 or 9 years ago, actually. Well, maybe not quite that much, maybe 7. And we'd just gotten married, my husband and I, and we've been married now 8 years, and we now have 2 little girls, a 10-month-old and a 5-year-old.
Wow.
And busy, and I was so blessed by the fact that my mom, and I'm the oldest of 7 kids, was a full-time mom and just devoted, her life to giving to us at home and homeschooled and the whole thing, and so I just really wanted to dedicate, these early years especially to that, and so doing a little bit of music now, but family first, and we'll see how we can juggle that adventure.
Yeah, and for those of you who may not know, Rebecca is the older, wiser sister of the Small Bone Brothers from For King and Country. And Rebecca, you went on tour with them and Casting Crowns a couple of years ago, right?
That's right, yeah. A little over a year and a half ago, I did a Christmas tour with them, and it was so sweet. We just, I just came up for a couple songs in their set and did some 3-part harmonies that we used to do in the car driving along, back in the day. And it was a very, very sweet time with my family and with Casting Crowns too.
Yeah. So Thanksgiving dinner, I'm sure you're giving them pointers of, don't make these mistakes that I did and whatnot.
Well, the funny thing is they toured with me, for forever. I mean, we toured as a family, which is really the model, actually, that I'm doing now with my little family. We travel out on the road together as a family, too, and are committed to that. So, so they actually saw everything firsthand, and I think that they did learn some stuff. Okay, I'll do that part a little bit differently, or I won't push it quite that hard. I'll try to rest a little bit in the process, too. So, they learned some things.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the Greatest Hits live tour. Now, again, some of the greats are in this tour. Point of Grace, the ladies from that team, Avalon, the group from Avalon, Nicole C. Mullen, New Song, Eddie Carswell, Billy Goodwin. So how did you get involved in this tour?
Well, I've known Eddie for a long time. We did one of the early winter jams, actually, a long time ago. And then I've done just various events with New Song and with the Winter Jam team. And so known them a long time, love them. And so when they were putting together a tour like this, that has people that have been doing music for a long time. And, I grew up on Christian music. I went to shows as a kid, and I remember being very, very impacted by that. And so when those songs kind of take a place in your heart that's really special. Yeah. And so they just had this idea to head back out on the road and bring those kind of songs that were, big on radio, that people knew, that probably still have some kind of place deep down in people's hearts. They wanted to bring it back. And so they approached me, and we loved the idea.
It's kind of cool because a lot of people may not know this, but they're really instrumental, or have been over the years, Eddie especially, at kind of helping groom up-and-coming artists through Winter Jam. And then so it's really interesting here that is kind of bringing some veterans in on this tour. So I think it's kind of a great combination of what he's doing.
Yeah, they're kind of bringing the new talent in, and then also encouraging people, that have been doing music a long time to continue on that legacy as well. Yeah, it's really cool.
So what can we expect to see? Is it mini concerts from each artist? Are you guys singing together? Kind of give us a taste of the concert.
Yeah, we do kind of like mini sets, really. It's a little bit like a festival, but like all in one night and, you know, and short sets. And then, but we make it punchy. I mean, it seems to really, like, there's just a lot of, I don't know, a lot of value to the night because of all the different artists. And again, that kind of mini festival feel. And then we do a song together all at the end as well. Yeah. And I think it's very sweet, like the connectivity between the artists, because all of us have either toured together or, you know, played events together. Yeah, like Bob Carlyle. Yeah, I toured with him when I was, I think, 16 or 17. So like my first tour was with he and Brian Duncan. And so it's like, yeah, you just got all this history and cool stories together, and it's been very sweet.
Yeah, butterfly kisses from the way back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I cried. I mean, I watched my daughter doing sound check dancing to that song, and I'm a mess, you know. Yeah. I mean, it's a really, really special night.
Yeah. Okay, so through our blog and podcast, you're talking to those who make Sunday happen. So that's worship leaders, tech leaders, pastors. Now, okay, so from one who's grown up in the arena of worship experiences, which concerts totally are, give us some advice here. So what are some things that you might have learned from being on stage or involved in creating experiences and performing that we should always remember, or that you might pass on to other worship leaders?
Well, you know, probably the first thing that comes to mind, and man, I'm no expert. You're kind to even ask me that, but it's just in any kind of Christian leadership, I think it's very important to be authentic and just to come with your authentic heart, you know, and when you speak, to speak from that place, because people are looking for that. They want that kind of human resonance within their own lives. But I just think, especially within Christian community, we've got to be able to be real with each other. So I think, you know, without obviously downloading and kind of making it a little bit excessive, like no TMI, I'm not meaning that, but just sharing about the highs and the lows of life, and being real about how God is with us on the mountaintops, and He's with us in the struggles too. And I think that is important, authenticity. You know, I think also being a lead worshiper, that was probably the other thing that came to mind, is that I invite people to worship by worshiping God myself. If I'm going there, other people are probably going to go there too. And I think that's always something that I try to keep in mind.
So what are some of the things that you might have done in your personal walk with Jesus that have maybe made you a better worship leader, or that you would pass that on to others, to say, I did this and I kind of focused on this in my personal walk, and this might help you?
Prayer, I mean, probably is the main thing that just comes to mind. I think prayer for me has just been an absolute must. Like, I literally don't feel that I would have been able to do any of what I did and am doing without prayer. You know, I started out full-time when I was 16 and went on my first tour at 13. And so I think there was just definitely a feeling for me of inadequacy. And the point is, we all are inadequate, really, to represent the God of the universe, the creator of it all. All of us are inadequate. And so we sometimes fool ourselves to think, oh, yeah, I can do this, you know, and I'm this or that. And we're fooling ourselves, because we really, when it comes to actual kingdom impact, we have to have the power of God. We have to have the Spirit. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything. And so I think just every single time before you know, going on stage or doing anything that has this ministry value, and obviously we should be doing this in our lives behind the scenes too. Right. But that was always a must for me, just that we're prayed up and we've got the focus on Jesus, and we're speaking it too. Lord, this is all about you, and it's not about us. And thank the Lord for that, because it's such a relief that it's about Him and not about us. Yeah.
What about the reverse of that? What are some landmines that you have maybe stepped in, or what are some maybe spiritual attacks or struggles that you faced, and how have you dealt with them?
I think the biggest thing that I have struggled with in the past is just balance and protecting from burnout. I think I was so young that I didn't know what good boundaries look like, and you know, I kind of knew that I was burning out probably at a certain point, but it was just like things were so rolling at that point, and it was such a machine. It was just hard to like put on the brakes. And so, and I didn't like hit the wall or anything, but just internally, I think I felt a bit like a spiritual, emotional anorexic for a while. Just like I'm still giving out and I'm still functioning, but I really have nothing left, and it's kind of eating into me. And so I would just encourage people to definitely protect from that. Just build in sabbatical time, build in, a day off each week where it's family time, it's God time, it's rest time. Just build in vacations, build in, time that you need to let your soul breathe, and where there's no expectations. I think that's what starts getting so heavy, is when you just feel expectations from everywhere and it kind of snowballs in on you. And so protecting from that is really important.
Yeah. Okay, one more topic, and I'll let you go today. So let's talk about songwriting. You've been involved in kind of writing some songs and kind of put your own voice and pen to paper over the years. Tell us about your songwriting process, and for those worship leaders who might be experimenting with that or wanting to get into writing their own songs for their congregation, do you have any advice there of maybe your songwriting process?
Yeah, definitely prayer. I mean, it would be the first thing. And then for me, my process is different probably each time. Sometimes I will come into a songwriting session. I generally write with other people. There's only a couple songs probably that I've ever written entirely by myself. I sometimes come into a session with like a hook or a melodic idea or a lyric concept or a lyric line that I feel like would be a good hook. And then sometimes I just come into a session just wanting to just kind of share my story or where I'm at or what season of life I'm in, and see if that sparks something in the other person. And then we kind of go from there. But I also really like taking it straight from the music end sometimes too, just starting with a beat, starting with a pad, a vibe, and seeing what melodies I might hear. And I think in my writing, and I am writing recently too, because I'm writing for a new album that, Lord willing, is going to come out early next year, and signed with Bethel Music actually. So I'm doing a lot of writing right now, and I think something that's been coming into my mind as I'm writing is that I'm to be a reporter. I'm to be a reporter of what I hear. And so you just kind of show up with what God might be bringing to mind, whether it's lyrics or melody, and you show up courageously with that, because songwriting is vulnerable. It is like you're putting yourself and your soul and your heart out there, and so you just got to report as to what is coming to mind and see what happens.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, last question for you. Do you have a cringeworthy song that you wish that we would never hear again, or that we would burn all the copies
of? You know what? I feel like I've been asked every question under the sun, but I don't know that I've ever, in 20-some years of doing music, been asked that one.
Oh, you are welcome. There's always something new around the corner. I hit you with the surprise.
Oh, gosh. It's probably more performances, actually, than the actual songs, because they have to pass through a pretty strong filter for me. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I wouldn't have been able to really stand by anything getting out there if I didn't believe in the lyric or, like something about the song. But performances, I listen back to some of my songs on my God album, so it's my second album, and it's so raw. And I mean, there's something to that too. There's something very authentic about that. But I listen back and I'm like, ooh, that note, please, that, or like it was a little, I don't know, like a little too raw, probably.
Yeah.
So that if people listen back to that, they might go, okay, yeah, Rebecca, you should cringe with that note.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad I got to stump you today.
Yeah.
All right, the Greatest Hits Live Tour is coming to a city near you. There are only a few dates left, end of April into May. So be sure to grab your tickets. You can go to greatesthitslive.com. That's greatesthitslive.com for tour dates and tickets. Rebecca, thank you so much for your time today. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Carl.